So today, we're going to do something a little different. We're going to look at the history of a really important financial regulator, but we're going to frame its entire 160-year story as the creation of one single, massive, and absolutely vital national asset, a database of trust. Let's dig into how it was built.
Really think about that for a second. What if every financial crisis, every single reform, every hard-won lesson about our economy was an entry into a living, breathing system? And look, this isn't just some clever metaphor. It's actually a super powerful way to understand how financial stability is built, one record at a time, over more than a century.
All right, so here's the plan for our journey. We'll start with the very first record, which, believe it or not, was created in a moment of national crisis. Then we'll dive into its analog beginnings, follow its huge leap into the digital age, see how it all works in the cloud today, and finally, we'll try to understand its incredible legacy.
You know, every great database has to start somewhere, with that first critical entry. And for America's financial system, that first record wasn't dreamed up in some quiet boardroom. Nope, it was forged right in the middle of the chaos of the Civil War. And here it is. This is that foundational record. The creation of the OCC basically established the rules, the fields, the entire purpose of this database. See, before 1863, the country was a total financial free-for-all. You had all these different currencies, unstable banks. It was a mess. The OCC was designed to bring order, to charter reliable banks, and to create one single uniform currency. Its job right from day one was to build a system that people could actually trust.
Now, for about its first 100 years, this database wasn't digital at all. It was built with shoe leather and pure scrutiny. Trust wasn't verified by algorithms or software. It was verified by actual human beings on the ground, physically examining paper records and assets. And this timeline really shows how that database grew over time. Every major crisis added new layers of data, new rules. The Great Depression, for instance, wasn't just a disaster. You could almost call it a massive, tragic data-gathering event that led directly to huge reforms like the FDIC. Then, fast forward to the 70s, and the CAMEL system gets introduced. Think of it like a standardized report card for banks, a truly modern data field for checking up on financial health. Just try to picture what data collection meant back then. It meant an examiner physically showing up at a bank, opening a vault to count gold bars, and spending days, maybe weeks, hunched over handwritten ledgers. These folks were the original data analysts building this database of trust, one inspection, one charter, one paper file at a time. But this manual system, it just couldn't keep up. The sheer amount of financial information eventually became way too much for paper and ink to handle, and that's when the digital revolution arrived, completely transforming how the OCC collected, processed, and understood its data.
Just look at this comparison. It's the same job, but separated by nearly a century. The examiner back in 1933 was relying on paper ledgers, usually after a bank had already failed. Today's analysts, they're using AI to model risk in real time, maybe even preventing that failure from ever happening in the first place. The methods are just worlds apart.
And that really brings us to the central idea. You go from hand-cranked calculators to AI, from paper files to cloud dashboards. The technology has been completely, totally revolutionized. But that fundamental goal of ensuring a safe and fair system, that has stayed exactly the same.
These four principles right here, they're the bedrock of the whole system. This is the why behind every single data point they collect and every regulation they write. It doesn't matter how fancy the tools get, the mission always comes back to these fundamental goals.
Okay, so that brings us to today. The database is no longer some historical archive. It's a live, dynamic system that reflects the pulse of the global economy, literally second by second. We are talking about a fire hose of information. An amount that's almost impossible to imagine. Every loan, every transaction, every line of code in a brand new fintech app becomes a data point. So the job of the OCC now is to make sense of these massive, high-speed streams to spot risks before they blow up into full-blown crises.
So what are they actually looking for in all this data? Well, they're running these incredibly powerful queries, and each one has a specific job. For example, they still use that CAMEL system we mentioned to give banks a health check. They analyze CRA data to make sure banks are lending fairly in all communities. They use complex models called CECL to try and predict future loan losses. And they use something called SUPEC, that's supervisory technology, which is really just the umbrella term for all the advanced AI and software that makes this kind of modern oversight even possible.
So, after 160 years of collecting all this data, responding to crises, and constantly evolving its tools, what's the ultimate legacy of this incredible project?
The real value here, the real magic, isn't in some dusty rulebook. It's the cumulative knowledge, the institutional memory from every single crisis and reform that allows our financial system to bend without breaking. It's a database that was built for resilience.
This quote just nails it, doesn't it? It doesn't matter if an examiner was checking a physical vault in the 1930s or an analyst is monitoring cloud logs today, the fundamental questions they are asking are exactly the same. Are risks being managed? Are institutions resilient? The mission endures.
So as we look ahead at things like AI, new forms of digital currency, and global risks we can't even imagine yet, the final question is really for us. This database of trust is our inheritance. It's up to all of us to decide what the next entry is going to be.